There we go. Greetings, everyone. My name is Tim Selvin. I'm the president of the Montessori Foundation, and this is our weekly webcast on finding the right match. My co-host is my colleague, Clint Lausch. Clint and director of a company called Aims, and I'm going to hand over to you, but I'll give a plug first off for Clint as a human. Clint, in my opinion, is one of those really good people who does nice things to the people he works with. And he worked for a company called Independent School Management that I worked with as a client for many, many years. I have very great respect for them. And Clint was doing great work for them with digital marketing. And then he decided to go out on his own. And I met him, I think, right as he was beginning. And I know many, many people in the field of marketing private schools, and they're all great people. What I really appreciate about Clint is, to be very candid, he's young, he's hungry, he's smart, and he's offering services that, from what I have found, are more affordable than anyone else. And I hope you're able to keep that going, Clint, because I appreciate the work you do for the schools that I love, including our own lab school. And I appreciate the way you treat your clients. So it's great to have you here. Clint, let me hand off to you.
That's fantastic. Thank you. And, it's been a pleasure working with you and your expertise and doing this webcast. We've been doing it for a few months now, and we're looking forward to continuing in the new year. It's crazy where we're headed there, and I will say that this will be our last one, before the holidays really kick in gear, and they'll be back with you here in January. So looking forward to continuing with you, Tim. And yeah, this has been fantastic working together. And with Renee, who Tim you work with closely at the Montessori Foundation. So thank you for Renee for joining us today as well, and for introducing us to Rupali. So we're so excited to have Rupali here, who is the founder and director of the TEC schools in Massachusetts, and talking about a topic that I know I get asked about a ton. Every school probably does it to some degree, which is the concept of an open house. And I feel like nowadays, some are still doing the traditional open house. Some are looking for different ways to do open houses, or you're already doing something unique. But the question always comes up is like, hey, what's working these days? What's those other schools doing with their open house strategy? Especially for those that maybe are still trying to, like, hey, should we still do it? Should we not do it? And um, it's great to have you on here, Rupali. And as we were talking offline about some of the things that are working for you, and so I'm looking forward to, I know everybody else is looking forward to as well, hearing about what's working for you, what strategies that you recommend at least others consider. So look, I'll turn it over to you. I know you have a presentation for today. So yeah, again, for today, everybody, we're gonna go through a little bit of a presentation, but we always want to make it conversational. So if you have a question, type in the chat, unmute. Let's have a conversation about what we're going to be talking about today, which again is enhancing and having a really amazing open house experience that is attracting your ideal family. So Rupali, with that being said, I'll turn it over to you to kick us off.
Thank you. Thank you, Tim and Clint and Renee, for giving me this opportunity to speak here. I just want to see is everybody here a Montessori leader, or are you from private schools too? Just type 1 for Montessori and 2 for private, so I kind of get an idea of who we have here. Thank you. So we have a good mix of both Montessori and private schools. My presentation does say open house strategies for Montessori schools, but they can be applied to private schools also. So let me just give me a minute. Just give me a second to get started here.
No problem.
So when we think about open house strategies for a school, we're thinking about what makes us unique, what sets us apart from the competition that we have, whether it's a Montessori school, whether it's a private school, or whether it's even traditional schools that are in the area. And when we think about it, we talk about what are the unique benefits that your school presents to the prospective family that visits you, that visits your school. And what I'm going to share today is some of the strategies that we have used at our school, at the TEC Schools Think, Explore, Create in Worcester. And when we started our school about 9 years ago, we started in the basement of a church, and people didn't quite know us, that even we existed in that area. And so we had to just raise awareness. Now we've come a long way from there, and we've recently moved. We've recently moved to a larger space, and we are back again in the uh, same conundrum of getting people to know that we exist in our new location. I would just tell you a little bit about myself. I started as a Montessori child in India. My preschool was a Montessori. And back then, most preschools were Montessori preschools in India. And when I came to the US and had my son, I decided to follow the Montessori method for him. And I did Montessori at home. We did a co-op with our neighbors. And we found that children just soaked in everything that we had to give. And so when my son was about kindergarten age, we enrolled him in a Montessori school, and I followed him to take my training in Montessori education and became a Montessori teacher. From there, I became a curriculum director, and after my son graduated from high school and went to college, I decided to start my own school called Think, Explore, Create. And now I mentor other professionals. I also am a speaker at various workshops and platforms. I also have a background in education and architecture. So that combination helps me to kind of think of a big picture and then see the details in it. And with that, I would say, that approach is what I use for hosting our open house events at our school. What is the experience that we want families to have when they come to our school? It's not just that they're going to see the classrooms, but it's how they feel when they first walk in the door. That is going to leave a lasting impression. Also, one size does not fit all. So how do you tailor the open house events to suit the family's needs? And what are some strategies that have worked for us over the years? What are some strategies that have worked for you? This will be a conversation, and we can learn from each other. So how do you engage prospective parents? And what resources can you offer to the parents at your open house so that you can connect with them? And when you make that connection is when parents are likely to enroll their child at your school. So we've done a few different formats for our open house events. Some of the most successful events at our school are the interactive events. We call them maker fairs. Our focus at our school is Montessori and STEAM education. So because we have the STEAM education, we also have a maker lab at our school. And what we do for our very first fall open house and the winter open house is we do a maker fair. And we invite our community partners with whom we partner to complement our curriculum. And so it's really the whole array of experiences that their child is going to have through their educational journey at our school, that's displayed at the Maker Faire. The excitement is high. There are a lot of activities that parents and children can try, and teachers and former students, current families are available to meet and talk to the parents. The other event that is very successful for open houses are events where our students are involved in the open house itself. So our upper elementary and middle school students in November, um, they run a pancake breakfast. And actually, every month they run a cafe in the school. And so they're very much used to cooking in the school. And to showcase that, we invite parents for a pancake breakfast. And the students who are preparing the breakfast are also the students who showcase what they've been doing in the school. And so parents can have breakfast and chat with the chefs. They can see the projects that are ongoing, and the children can talk from their experience. The other regular open house events we have are the weekly tours, and we do Take a Tour Tuesday. It's been a constant since we started our school, and we found that sometimes we get one family, sometimes we get 3 or 4 families, depending on the time of the year. But those are the tours that we can tailor to a particular family's need. And then 3 times a year, we also offer weekend open house events. So some are in the morning, some are in the afternoon, and one is in the evening, so that we can help, we can be available for parents who are who are able to join us on the weekends and not come during the weekly tours. The other benefit for our school is that we are in a wonderful residential neighborhood. And so we host a neighborhood picnic. And that's at the beginning of the year. We just get to know our neighbors and we share the work that we're doing. We have food outside. The children can play in the playground, and they can, parents can just come, families can come and get to know us as a member of their community. And we work with our neighbors during open house events. I send um, personal letters to people in the neighborhood, and they can share the message with people that they know, with their grandchildren perhaps. And so, talking about grandchildren, we during the spring months we do summer program showcase, and that's when we invite families to just come and see what summer programs we offer or after school events that we offer. You can also create some program level focused open house events. So if you have children's house or preschool, if you want to focus just on kindergarten, we are currently doing a kindergarten and preschool drive at our school. That's one area we've just recently started that program, and that's one program that we need to fill our open spots. And so we're currently running our preschool and kindergarten open house for January enrollment. And then you can also have, based on what program levels you offer, you can offer elementary and adolescent open house events. So, how do we do this? It takes a bit of a thinking, and what we do is in our June meeting, which is a strategic meeting, we spend a week at the end of the school year on planning for the following year. We spend time with the classroom teachers, with administrators, and we plot the events from September through June for the upcoming year. And we see how are we going to engage the families throughout the school year. What touch points can you have with the families? So one way of getting all the families is through the CRM that your school may have. And if you don't have a CRM, when we started our school, we did not have the ability to pay for a CRM, we would just create a database on Excel sheets and tracking those sheets to see, okay, how many times have we touched base with this family? Where are they in our engagement process? So we have buckets about they've made just an inquiry, they've come for a tour, they completed an application, they are scheduling a classroom visit. Whatever your process looks like, it's good to have a database that you can look at and say, what are the touch points? I often think of this engagement time as the time that you date. And you have to meet again and again and again to develop a relationship, to connect with the families. And the families that are enrolled at your school, you have to have that engagement with them for retention. So, how many times are they coming into the school to see the classroom? How many times are they coming for events? How many times are they coming to observe? All of these activities are going to help them say, okay, this is the experience I want for my child. And so, as you're developing this plan, think about your community partners. So we are in a city called Worcester, and Worcester has many cultural communities. So we connect with them and we partner with them. We take our students out and about, especially our elementary and middle school students. We take them out and about in the city, and we invite those community partners for our open house event. So you may say, okay, our fall open house is going to have community partners. So whether they're making, if they're going to participate in a metal workshop, or if they're going to participate in an art class or a music performance, we invite those partners so that they can also showcase their part with us. And it becomes a more meaningful uh, open house event. You can also just showcase student achievement. So our January open house, we focus on our past students and alumni, and we showcase, where are they right now? What are they doing? What was the learning they had? And it's almost like a panel discussion where we invite our graduates to come and share their experiences with the student, with prospective families. And then we have events throughout the year. We have a STEAM fair, we have poetry recital, we have a holiday concert, our end of the year show. So those are other events when we invite prospective families to come and participate in our school events. So at the open house, it's really important to give the parents an experience of what it means to be at your school. What will the children experience at your school? So, one of the things that we do is we have different stations that parents can experience. Yes, they're going to walk through the classrooms, they're going to engage with the families, but how about if they could actually do an activity themselves? And when parents can do an activity, they can see, oh, it's the hand to brain connection that makes this lesson alive. And then you can have a conversation um, right there about how the Montessori materials help students make make that connection. Why we give to the hand makes a connection to the brain. So by giving families a chance to interact with the actual materials, perhaps not in the classroom because it might, they might go from shelf to shelf. But if you have a designated corner or a space in the lobby where they could try something, then that gives a nice conversation starter. Another uh, Another way to engage parents is to show what your curriculum looks like. So during the winter open house, one of the things that we do is in every classroom we have the same material that the teachers showcase. So in Children's House, in the preschool area, we show them the binomial cube, and parents can see, okay, children in this age group are putting them together as a puzzle. They go to lower elementary and they see the same material being used to do the squares of numbers and multiplication. And then they go to upper elementary and they see, oh, the same material is used for exponents. And they see in middle school that the children are actually going ahead and doing all these problems abstractly. So they see the whole journey that their child is going to take using the curriculum that we have in the school. You may have a printed curriculum to showcase, so you may have brochures, you may have a teacher who's explaining, or a student who's showcasing, maybe a student from each age group showcasing the curriculum. So think about it, what makes your school so unique? What would parents like to touch? It's, after all, education is what the child is doing. We also set up a place for parents to network with current families. We call it the networking nook, and that's a space in our school where parents can have a cup of coffee, some goodies to eat, and they can chat. So our current families welcome prospective families. They share their experience. Now, we've never really scripted these experiences for the families. We've just said, tell your story. Why are you here? And if the parents are happy, they're very happy to share what makes the school so special for their child. And then I'd mentioned earlier that we do offer an alumni and parent panel at another open house. So you can just strategically, you can plan in June what all your open house events are going to look like, which events make sense to you and work for your school. The other thing that we've learned during COVID is to create short videos, and you can post them on your website. You can post them, you can have a small device, or you may have a large device depending on what you have at your school. When we were a small school, we just had small iPads that we would play the videos on. But now that we are in a larger space and we have smart boards, we can present these video vignettes from, we have an online school. So we have students in India, in Singapore, we have teachers in India, in Michigan, in New York. And so while they cannot be here in person, we can have their videos and we can share their experiences through video vignettes. And you can do that with current families, you can do that with your students, you can take videos of what happens in your classroom, and you can just play it as a loop so that parents, as they're walking by, they can stop. Think about it like a museum experience. Think about it like walking through IKEA. You want them to have a sense of space, a sense of place when they're going through your school. And yeah, so those are the different strategies that we have. So now the next thing is, how do you get people to know about you, right? How will you spread the word? One thing that really has been helpful for us is the social media campaign. And now with AI, you can do so much. Just use, well, whichever AI tool you want. You use it to create special messages that are specific to your program, to your school, that has your brand voice. And it's so easy now and takes such less effort if you use AI to create your social media posts. Say, for example, we were doing our Halloween Maker Fair in October, and we had just moved to this new location, so it was also a grand opening. And we created a campaign of just talking about our school. And we had some informative posts, some posts that were shorter, some posts that had a call to action. And so parents, we had over 100 people come to our school for this event. You can also do targeted ads, so people who come to your website. And I think Clint probably would know more about this. But if somebody comes to your website, you can follow them. They will, when they're on Facebook or they're shopping or they're browsing through Facebook Marketplace, they will see your ads. On your website, you can have uh, a banner that or a pop-up that says, here's our open house, sign up, link it to your sign up page so that they get into an automated email campaign. And again, I would say write a blog about your event, write a newsletter article, and share it with your community, maybe with the partners, the community partners that you have, and let them spread the word. Non-digital strategies that work for us are yard signs. We give a yard sign to every family at our school about the event. And you can work with the printing company to make the yard signs such that you can just change the sticker on the date and get the yard signs out by coffee shops, by other preschools, by your community, in your community partner's yard, in your family's yards, and people in that neighborhood. If already somebody is coming to the school, people from that neighborhood will be likely to see your yard sign and come to the school. It's low cost, very effective. Flyers, we go around town to send our flyers. We do something called Take Five. So every family takes 5 flyers um, for the open house, and we put them in our homework folder for the students. And the parents then go around their neighborhood and invite 5 families to come to the open house. So some families are very creative. They'll put it in a goodie bag with something sweet in there or something informational in there, and they'll invite other people. But that's a great way to invite families. We have math programs and after school programs in the area like Kumon and Russian math. And we've partnered with them and we offer them our flyers. And they very readily keep our flyers and share the word about our school. So find people in your community. Another simple thing that we found which is helpful is for some families to host a pre-open house event. It's much smaller than a regular open house, but similar to a weekly tour. Invite them, ask them if they have any questions. Maybe some families need a little more hand holding, and you can invite those families. Every year, in every open house, we do have a giveaway that is connected to our name. So our name is Think, Explore, Create. And so one of the giveaways is a little bag of marshmallows and toothpicks. And it says, think about a way to create a structure with, explore the marshmallows and toothpicks in this bag and create your own structure. So there's something that people can take home with them that they're reminded of our school. Right now, during the holidays, we just give them a bell with the TEC sign attached to it. It's very simple, inexpensive, but people can take home something concrete that they can remember you by. Now, during COVID, we also started creating video tours, and that has been very helpful. We had a family that was in South Africa, and we could give them a tour, a virtual tour of our school. And they came this week back to the US and they could come and see the school in person. So when somebody reaches out to you, you don't have to lose them. You have so many different ways that you can connect with them and showcase, your school through diverse perspectives. You can also continue to engage them through newsletters and digital tools, as well as have them come into your school. So, all of these activities just create a very positive environment um, for the prospective parents. It's a good positive experience for them, and they are excited just as you are excited. Now, because we are a Montessori school, we do often share the difference between a traditional school and a Montessori school. And we talk about why Montessori works for students. Now, I know not everybody here runs a Montessori school. And so I would say, what is the differentiator that you can highlight for your school? Think about that. And you can differentiate for the families the unique characteristics of your school. What makes your school so appealing that they would not go to another school down the road? We are in a city and we have many private schools, many Montessori schools in the area. So it's so important to highlight what makes us different. Now, during these tours, it's also important to listen to the families and see what they have, what are they looking for. So before we start the tour, we often ask, where do you see your child when they are an adult at the age of 25? And I got this from, years ago when my son was, we were touring schools and we went to a Montessori school, and the head of school asked me, what is it that you see in him when he's 25? And we just made a list of all the qualities that we wanted in him. And as we went through the tour, she talked about, okay, so if you want him to be kind, this is how we teach grace and courtesy. If you want him to be accomplished, this is how he'll have the rigor of learning. And so by listening to the families and knowing what they're looking for, you can tailor your tour to that family's needs. So once they are at the school, we have the families tour the classrooms, and again, every classroom teacher can talk passionately about their classroom because they're the ones who carefully created that environment. And what makes their classroom so unique, they can talk about how children are engaged. Um, they can talk about how the work, even in middle school, is still sensory with the hands-on experiences. And we talk about the role of the teacher, how they are guides and facilitators, how they empower children to be their best self, becoming an independent, confident learner. And so, at whatever school you have, you can put your name, your school name. You can talk about how you create an environment where each child feels safe, where each child feels welcomed and empowered to do their very best. So when we invite parents, we also have families write down their success stories and whether they've had a Montessori education or not. We ask the parents, what is one moment when you witnessed your child's love of learning? Uh, Share a time when your child surprised you with problem solving skills. What are you most proud of in your child's development? And so when parents can share, these are just prompts to get parents talking. So one prompt is, what do you see when your child is 25 years of age? Another prompt is, okay, uh, what what makes them tick, right? What we had a family with twins this morning, and both boys were so different. They're so different, even though they're twins. And so knowing what works for one child, what works for the other child, we can then say, okay, how are we going to serve your child at our school? And we also welcome our current families to share their stories. So we call it the microphone moment, where parents can share their stories very briefly. We have something called a fan event in March for our families who are enrolled. And FAN is nothing but Friends and Ambassadors Network. We worked with a marketing consultant. His name is Rick Newberry. He runs a company called Catalyst. Enrollment Catalyst. And he came up with the idea that people in your school are your fans and they are cheering for your school. So use them for word of mouth. And they want to share their stories. So we created this microphone moment where families from a school can talk about the school. We also invite our teachers and administrators to talk about why they love to work here. And all the stories can either go on your website, they can go in video vignettes, they can go in social media, however way you like to use those stories. Now, there's something about giving a handout. During COVID, we were very much against handing anything out. But now that we are back in in-person tours, we've been focusing on what really do parents want. And one thing they want to know is, what is the benefit of your school? Like, why should your school be the one that they consider? Another activity that we found for children, especially elementary age students and middle school students who come to our school, they are very antsy and they don't want to go on this long tour, or they want something to do. And so we have a Montessori maze. It's a maze with all the words that have are a puzzle, a maze that the student can solve. We have word searches that they can sit and do, and they can find words that are related to Montessori or to our school. And each of these handouts has our contact information. And another handout that we found useful is frequently asked questions. What's your school day like? What's the calendar like? Do you follow the regular town school calendar, or do you have a different calendar? And so all of these thoughts that you often hear during your tours, you can put it into one sheet and have that for parents to use. We also have handouts that, like a trifold flyer, which talks about our school's mission, our various programs, and then some handouts that are just talking about the Montessori benefits, why Montessori. You can also create these on your website for people to download. We have free ebooks that we have for families to download. So they come to your open house, you can direct them to your website and have them download some of these free resources, so that now you can put them in your email marketing campaign and you've captured their attention, and you can keep nurturing them even after they leave your open house. You can still stay engaged with them. And then what we do is we have a series of topics that we share with them. Could be the prepared environment, why Montessori, what is freedom within limits, what are the sensitive periods, what's auto education. So you can pick and choose whatever topics mean a lot to your school, the topics that reflect what your school is. And you can have these downloadable guides for families to use. We also showcase our extracurricular activities, our STEAM program, parent testimonials, and then we also have a very clear call to action on our website. Schedule a tour, attend an open house, or download an application. So making it easy for families to take the next step after they've come to the open house. How are they going to engage? How are they going to stay connected with your school? And I'm sure many of you already have all of these. These are all the strategies that we are using, and and um, and it has been very helpful. Nothing beats student ambassadors in an open house. Even a 3-year-old can showcase their work in the classroom. And when our 3-year-olds or our elementary or upper elementary students, middle school students give tours, our alumni come back and they give tours, nothing that we do matches that. When parents see that, they say, I want that for my child. I want that confidence. I want that love of learning. I want that ability to advocate for themselves. I want them to speak confidently. I want that eye contact for my child. And so when you have student ambassadors showing what they are doing in your school, I think that's the highest form of getting engagement in your classroom, in your open house. And then finally, I've talked a lot about our graduates. Welcome parents to see a portrait of your graduate. And perhaps your graduates are not returning, but you can tell their story. You can show their journey from when they started at your school and when they graduated, and the growth, the transformation that happened at your school, and how it happened, why it happened, what was it that helped this child become the best version of themselves, whether it was building their confidence, whether it was your STEAM. I mean, in our school, it's the STEAM program that encourages children to think innovatively, create projects. What makes them a big part of the community? Is it their community engagement? Are they making an impact in their community? And you can share stories about their current achievements, which school they are at, how are they doing at their current school. And so, how our students become lifelong learners and carry with them the joy of learning wherever they go. So you can tailor your open house event in the way that showcases the entire journey of a student from the time they start with you to the time they graduate, and make it a very engaging, meaningful story. So that brings me to the end of my presentation, and I'd like to open the forum for conversation and for questions. Thank you.
That was a beautiful presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So anyone want to open up their mic and jump in and ask questions or share what you do?
Yeah, I would certainly love to hear, if anybody's using similar strategies, or hey, what works for you when it comes to the concept of open houses? It's like every school these days is doing things a little bit differently, whether it's traditional or something non-traditional. What's worked the best for your events?
Rennie, you have to unmute.
Thank you. 5 years later, I'm still forgetting. I really liked what you said about asking parents, families first, what their goals are for their child. How do you see your child? Because I read something in the Harvard magazine, I think 3 years ago, maybe 5, and it said exactly that. And I totally switched my open house approach rather than let me tell you what we do and what we offer. Rather start with the person, because then you also connect to their heart, right? You're asking them about their child. Who doesn't want to speak something about their child, right? And they come into an open house and it's kind of, might be crowded, they might be feeling insecure, and then when you say something about the child, it makes a beautiful connection. So I have that same tactic, so that's great.
Thank you. Yeah, I
Mhm.
feel it really helps put why education is important
Yep.
in perspective.
And they don't expect that. They expect us to give the big spiel about how great we are, what our programs do, all that. And it starts the conversation on a very more intimate level.
Yeah.
Renee, are you saying that you do that when you first connect with them or like at the beginning of the open house?
At the beginning, well, the tour, it works best because then you've got a smaller group.
Mhm.
But even in an open house, when we're standing around talking and trying to create the atmosphere before we do a presentation, I still do that, because then I think that they walk away and as a head of school, they'd say the head of school is really interested in my child. And that's
Mhm.
what we want them to, we always said at Kingsley, I want them to feel something before I tell them something. And somehow just opening, and Rupali, I don't know when you do it, but I take advantage whenever I can to ask
Yeah.
about the child.
And I agree with you that they have to feel something before you
Yeah.
start anything, because you need that connection first. And
Yeah.
so I often ask them at the beginning of the tour, what are they
Mhm.
for the child? And it also
Yep.
helps me know what is it that they're looking for.
Mhm.
Yep, exactly. And I've done that in groups, Jody, where the group could be kind of big, but I'll have a few people answer it, and it just gets everybody like thinking what they want
Yeah.
for their child. And then as they go through the tour, hopefully they see things that I think they see things differently once you've connected them.
Mhm.
So
I have,
it's like the passive versus active, right?
yeah,
Go ahead. Mhm.
it's not that I don't ask, but especially when there's a bigger group, I
Mhm.
need somebody to be like writing down notes for me, because I take a clipboard and I try to write down notes. But then if I have 5 families there, we do less of an
Mhm.
open house and more of like small group tours.
Mhm.
And individual tours. On an individual tour,
Sure.
it's no problem. I have a sheet. I do ask,
Right.
I do engage, but then if we have 4 or 5 people, then I'm mixing up who
Yeah.
has which kid and what they're interested in. I have to get better at
Yeah.
locking
But I
in.
don't think you need to remember which one. You just say, I know one of you asked about, you really want the child to have a lot of art in their
Okay.
experience. And here's our
Mhm.
art room. I think you can get to
Yeah.
it when you don't worry that you have to know exactly who said what.
Mhm. Okay, good.
Yeah.
The
It's
only
the
thing
personal
I would,
touch
the
that
only thing I would add in is, from my experience, we are each selling such highly unique programs and
Mhm.
experiences. We tend to focus on what everyone else is selling, and how do we keep up with the Joneses? And I
Right.
really think what helps is to recognize when parents are looking at a non-public school, this is an emotional thing. This is not about
Mhm.
simple dollars and cents and logistics and all that. I mean, however you look at it, it is a stupid, crazy event. I mean, these parents are trying to bring something into their lives, and maybe one of these weeks we might want to do what I call Emerson's value chart. Ralph Waldo Emerson talked a lot about how in life people are typically looking for something, but they don't necessarily realize they're looking for it. For example, if you were looking for a new home, you might think about the word peace or beauty
Mhm.
or comfort, cozy, or it might be abundance or safety, security, a statement, in other words, power.
Mhm.
Um, so when you think about parents, they're looking for something, and they absolutely get caught up in things like STEAM programs and art rooms and all that. But the bottom line is what you've got, all the different things that make you who you are, if you could just be very, very clear about who you are and what you offer, and figure out a way to communicate that verbally, non-verbally. Couldn't agree with you, Rupali, more than the idea of the student ambassador, parent ambassador. Kids are much more believable than we are. But the bottom line
Mhm.
is many of us are trying to offend nobody and be right for everybody. And I think what really works is to realize if you do your job right, your website or your social media or your advertising and whatever it looks like will draw the right people to you and will cause the wrong people to go the other way because they don't want you. And it
Mhm.
becomes so much easier to fill your school with people like the ones you want if you really know who you want. And as you said, Rupali and Renee, if you can get those people to work with you, they tend to bring other people who are awfully similar.
Mhm. Mhm.
Mhm.
Become
Yes.
self-enforcing.
Yep.
Yeah, that's true. And you're right, initially when we started, we thought we could serve every child. And I truly
Mhm.
believe that Montessori can serve every child, but doesn't serve every family is what I've learned because of the values that you just mentioned. And unless our values are aligned, we can't get on the same page for that child. And so I have learned over time that we are here to serve children whose parents are aligned with us, and finding that alignment is key during these open house events.
And
Yeah,
by the
Rupali, can I? Oh, go ahead. Go
way,
ahead, Tim.
just one more thought. And that leads to one other thought, and that's the idea of consistency and accuracy. Because what we want are parents who love us for what we are. And what they want us to do is be dependable. What they don't
Mhm.
want is for us to one day wake up and decide we're different and we don't love you anymore. They're looking for every classroom, every level, every year to be remarkably consistent. And that's especially true when you talk about it in terms of the leadership from the board, the leadership from the top. If they start thinking that things are changing, it's crazy making.
Mhm. Mhm.
True, true.
Yeah. So Rupali, I liked that you still hand out flyers and information sheets. I've seen a real change in that people have gone very paperless. And while I love the trees and I want to take care of the planet Earth, I think it's a very good strategy for someone to walk away with something. And then you have, I love the call to action on the bottom because they might be saying, I don't know what to do next. Oh, why don't I just schedule a private tour, an individual tour, or whatever the 2, 3 things were that you had. And I think that's a great, great way to do it because, we know that information is passing by us in the speed of light, right? Constantly. And by having something to take away, I think brings the experience back because you have to do something with that piece of paper when you get home. Either put it on the coffee table, maybe stick it on the refrigerator, or something, right? And it can give that opportunity of a second thought of maybe I should do something.
Yeah.
And
And the thing is, during COVID, we did stop doing the paper handouts. And
Mhm.
now that we're back in person, people ask, they've been asking, what do you have for me to take with me? And that's
Mhm. Mhm.
started going back to the
Yeah.
handouts because,
Yep. Because none of us do view books anymore, right? It's all the website.
yeah,
But they do need something tangible, I think.
yeah. And what we found is giving something tangible to the child to do
Yes, that's a great
exemplifies
idea.
what
Yeah.
our school is.
Yeah.
And that has also helped.
I really
Yeah.
love the word search idea. That's really
Yeah.
interesting. And what kid doesn't love a word search or maybe a crossword puzzle?
Absolutely.
I
Yeah.
also converted our school mascot, which is kind of an aggressive dolphin, into a little kid dolphin, like a coloring page kind of dolphin.
Yeah.
and have made coloring sheets for the littlest kids too. The other thing about paper handouts, one, I love that take 5, the flyers, and giving 5 to each family member, because that really engages them and it makes them think I should do something with these. I don't want to just waste them. Who can I give them to? We have been doing the yard signs, but regarding the printed materials, I also have a folder, and I just get a navy blue folder and I make stickers. I don't make them, but I order the stickers and put it on there. It looks pretty. I don't, of course, probably have a sample of it right here, but then it's a folder. I put my information in there, but I also say, you know, most of this information is on the website. So you could find it there. If you need more, it's on the website, but it's nice to just have it handy.
Yep.
A little infographic in there with percentage of teachers with masters and whatever. But then also I say, this is a good place for you to then keep all of your admissions materials once we start that ball rolling too.
Yeah.
So it's
That's a great way. Yeah.
don't throw this away. You're going to need it maybe later.
Yeah.
The seed anyway. Yeah.
That's a great idea.
Well,
I love all of your ideas. You had a lot of really, I
Yeah,
love the sense of
you really
space and
did.
place too.
For those of you that are still on, I put in a link to the PDF version of I think it's a 16 or 24 page color brochure from the Newgate School, which some of you might find interesting. We also stopped doing it during COVID. Big mistake. And Rupali, I must say that of all the ideas I got from you, the one that is my big takeaway is the yard sign and getting the parents to put them up.
Yes.
I'm going to share my screen, and if I can, I'll bring up the Newgate logo that I would use. But this kind of, you know, what you're describing is not done anymore.
Yeah.
And I
And
think it's freaking brilliant.
Yeah, the yard sign was a complete surprise for us. We did it just to say that my child goes to the TEC school. And we got so many inquiries from that. And we got some community partners from that now we've been doing it for all of our open house events. Yeah.
Also, make sure you put a QR code on that yard sign. It's easy for people to get to it.
A good point.
Just out of curiosity, since you all are still here, can you all see what's on the screen?
Yeah, I love that the gate, the fly gate.
And the QR code's a good point.
Yes.
So anyway, that was very useful for me, just to remember that that's fairly cheap, but if you have it, if it looks really cool, maybe you'll get people. I'm not sure that I would do my kid as a proud student at Aardvark School, but if whatever it is looks good, that people might be willing to put it up. You never know. I certainly remember the days of the rear window bumper decals that we all used to do.
We still do magnets. We do a magnet.
We call that swag.
Yes, it is swag.
We give them when parents enroll.
And it's also marketing everywhere you go. Like if I'm on the highway coming back from Michigan and to Chicago and I see another school with any one of my kids' school magnets on it, I'm like, oh, who is it? Who is it? Or like I drive up close to see what it is, just because of curiosity. It's great marketing. It just keeps on giving.
Every year at Kingsley, we give out big red, not big, but regular red reusable bags that says Kingsley. And then I think it says the best place to learn and grow or something on the other side. But just to keep getting the name there, right?
Yeah.
All right, I got to jump to another meeting. This was great. Happy holidays to everybody.
Thank you.
We'll see you in 2 weeks. Okay.
Happy holidays, one and all.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye.
everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.